you're new here, welcome. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can achieve this Christmas sweater body paint and a really simple brown smoky eye to go with it. This is the fourth makeup look for my 2018 12 Days of SFX-mas, and if you're new and you don't know what that is, basically for 12 days in the month of December I'm uploading a new Christmas themed special effects makeup look that ranges from body paints to face paints to beauty inspired by a Christmas movie makeup look. It just kind of goes everywhere, and it will also go down to prosthetics as well. So this is just really getting us into the Christmas spirit. For this look in particular, I did reference Made You Look here on YouTube. She helped inspire this look because I really wanted to do a Christmas sweater, and honestly, I had no idea what I wanted to do for a Christmas sweater because there's many different themes for Christmas sweater. It's like movie ugly Christmas sweaters, tinsel covered ugly Christmas sweaters, and then like your classic ugly Christmas sweater. So I took a bunch of pictures, which I'm going to leave here for you guys so you can kind of get an idea of what I was referencing to create this one. Lex's video really helped me understand how to make a knitted look for body paint because I never done a texture like that before. So I will leave her video linked down below so you guys can check it out and see what I did and kind of what helped inspire getting these nice tiny details on the sweater. So anyways, with that being said, if you're interested in seeing how you can achieve this Christmas sweater makeup look, then just keep watching. Hey guys, so to get started, I'm going to be taking my Buckle Bunny Beauty Fringe Benefit Primer and applying that all over my face. Before moving on to foundation, I'm going to be taking my Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation in light neutral and just applying that over my face with the Morphe E6 large buffing brush. I'm then going to be taking my Buckle Bunny Beauty Cream to Powder Foundation in Mocha and applying that to all of the areas that I would like to contour. This is going to be my cheekbones and my forehead, and I'm just going to be blending that out with a large fluffy brush. We're then going to be moving on to highlighting our face, so I'm just going to be taking my ColourPop No Filter Concealer in number 14 and applying that to all the areas that we now need to brighten. So this is going to be under my eyes, my forehead, under my cheekbones, my nose, my cupid's bow, and my chin. I'm then going to be blending that out with my ColourPop F5 Small Fluffy Brush. Moving on, we're going to be baking our face. I'm taking my Airspun Translucent Powder and a brush and just applying that to all the areas that we had our concealer while we move on to eyeshadow and brows. I'm going to start off by prepping my eyelids with my Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Primer before we move on to the eyeshadow. I'm going to be going into my Morphe Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette, taking this champagne color and just applying that to my brow bone to help give a nice lift to our brows and help accentuate that brow bone. Next, I'm going to be taking this dark nude color and applying that from the outer corner and blending that into the crease. This is going to serve as a nice and simple transition shade, and you just want to make sure to blend this out as you go so you don't have any harsh lines along the way. We're then going to be taking this light brown eyeshadow, and we're actually going to be creating a halo eye for this look. So you're going to be starting at the outer corner, creating a V, blending it in towards the inner corner, and once you get to the inner corner, you're going to build up the makeup a little bit more. So the only area that you don't have any makeup is going to be the very center of your eyelid. And like I said before, make sure to blend as you go. This is just going to make your life a lot easier. We're then going to be taking this dark brown eyeshadow and doing the exact same thing. This look is all about building up colors and adding more dimension to the look. It might not seem like a lot, but once you look back on it, it is really nice to have a bunch of layers because they all blend into each other in a nice gradient, and it really helps add a more impactful look. Now, of course, if you want a softer smoky eye, feel free to stop there, but I wanted to add a little bit more darkness and depth to my crease, so I went ahead and took my black eyeshadow from my Morphe James Charles palette, and I just applied that from the outer corner through the crease and also in the inner corner. And for the center lid color, we're going to be taking this metallic brown and just applying that in the very center, and feel free to go over the edges with some of your older eyeshadows before, just to kind of help blend that in. I'm then going to be taking my NYX Epic Ink Liner and creating a nice sharp wing on my upper lash line. I'm then going to be taking my Too Faced Cocoa Contour Palette, taking medium and dark cocoa, and using this on top of the cream contour from earlier. Not only is this going to help set the contour, but it's also going to add more definition to the face. Once that is done, we want to add a little bit more color, so I'm going to be taking my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer and just applying that over my face, and also applying a little bit of my Physicians Formula Butter Blush in Plum Rose as well. Speaking of color, I'm going to be taking my Buckle Bunny Beauty Honey Bunny blush and just applying that to the apples of my cheeks to add a nice flush before moving on to highlight. I'm going to be taking my BH Cosmetics Spotlight Highlight Palette, taking Glow and Dream, and just applying that to my cheekbones, my nose, and my cupid's bow before we move on to our lower lash line. I'm just going to be taking the nude color and applying that all over the lower lash line as a transition shade before we move on to the dark brown eyeshadow and apply that from the outer corner to the center of the lower lash line. I'm then going to be taking the champagne color and applying that to the inner corner of the eye before we go ahead and take our Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara and just sweep that through our eyelashes. I decided to go with a little bit of a bolder lash than usual, so I'm taking my Kiss Brassiere eyelashes and just applying that to my upper lash line. I would normally use my Kiss number 11, so if you want a little bit of a more natural but still glamorous lash, I would definitely recommend those. Next, we're going to be taking a break from the face makeup and move on to our body paint. So I'm actually going to be starting off with my NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk and kind of using that to sketch out the shirt. So I'm just going to be creating the collar with this before we move on to the body paint. So I'm going to be taking my Madalyn Paradise paint in white and going ahead and creating a zigzag mark right above my shoulder. This is really going to help us kind of figure out where exactly we're going to be having a separation of prints, and this is just a really easy design to do as well. So if I could find an easy design to do for a shirt body paint, I was definitely going to take it. I'm then going to be taking my Graftobian Pro Paint in Mantis Green, and I'm actually going to be applying this in the very center of the white zigzag. This is kind of going to create a little definition. We're going to have a white border around a green zigzag, and that was definitely a really cute look, and it helped add a little bit more difference in color to this sweater just because it was mostly going to be all red and white, and I wanted to add a little bit of green to make it a little bit more Christmassy. I'm going to be going back into my Madalyn Paradise paint in white, and I'm actually going to be creating a little snowflake in the very center of my chest. This is just a really simple design to do. Once again, the best way to go with creating a sweater body paint, I think, is to actually go simple and using more shadows and details to make it look more intricate than it actually is. So I just went ahead and created some white bars surrounding the snowflake and then created a few simple trees on the outside of those bars. This really helps bring a picture together without having it to be too complex and too detailed, because once again, this stuff can get really tricky, especially when you're having to outline all of this with red body paint. You don't want it to be too intense. Now you can most definitely just stop there, but since I knew that my shoulders were going to be in the picture, I figured why not do something simple on the shoulders as well. I kind of created a hexagon like snowflake, honestly just some shapes to kind of add more color on that side, or lack thereof I guess, and kind of add a little bit more detail without it taking away from the body paint. We're going to be moving on to our Madalyn Paradise paint in red, and we're going to be outlining all of the things that we just created, so that way we can fill it in without having to worry about taking away from anything that we've already worked on. I recommend doing this in any kind of body paint because, like most people know, body paint is very different than acrylic paint. You can't layer colors really unless the color beneath it is lighter and is very easy to layer. But for example, you can't really put white body paint on top of a black because it is water activated. They will end up just blending together and it won't really work. So you kind of have to do everything separately, which does take more time, but it's fine because that's what you sign up for. So I highly recommend just outlining everything so you can just start to fill it in. I feel like most people do this like in coloring books and any other art piece as well, because it just makes it easier. So this is no different. Once that is finished, we can now begin to fill in all of the open spaces that require the red body paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Next, we're going to be moving on to taking our Madalyn Paradise paint in black, and this is going to be really helping to add some shadow and definition between the collar of the sweater and the rest of the sweater. So I'm just going to be lightly outlining the collar, even bringing it down to above these zigzags as well. I'm then going to be taking my black eyeshadow from my Morphe & James Charles palette, and we're really going to be adding some definition and shading here. This is probably one of my favorite parts to do in clothing pieces. I did it in my Dear Evan Hansen body paint as well, which I will leave linked because that is very similar in shading shirt pieces. So I'm definitely going to be adding it up by the shoulders, in the armpit area, and on the outside of these shoulders as well, because these are areas that you're going to be having shading whenever you are wearing a shirt. I'm then going to be going back to my Madalyn Paradise paint in white, and we're going to be using this to add the little kind of triangle details that are up above the shoulder. This is something that I saw in one of the first sweaters that I linked in the very beginning. I just really liked it. It's super simple, and since you are using a heavier white and you're only doing small designs, this is much easier to layer. Once again, you can't draw an entire white painting on top of black body paint without first removing the black body paint underneath. So since this was a small detail, this was really easy to do. We're then going to be going back into our black body paint, and for this I'm just going to be creating a few tiny details on the collar, just kind of like that knitted texture where they're all like straight lines essentially. And you want to do this lightly. Feel free to go back over that with some of your red body paint, but this is just a simple detail that is really important to the collar. Next, we're going to be mixing our red Paradise paint and our black Paradise paint, and we're going to be kind of creating a darker burgundy color. This is a really simple detail, but one that I really liked. You're just going to be adding a few darker stitches in the body paint. These are just a few vertical lines that you're just going to add sporadically over the sweater. I'm then going to be going back into my Madalyn Paradise paint in black, and first I'm going to be creating 3 tiny little snowflakes on each little white bar that I have on the sweater. I just felt like this added even more color into the sweater since you already have your white and your red being prominent and then a few details of green. I felt like a little black would be fun as well. Next, we're going to be adding the stitching details. So I'm going to be taking a few black dashes horizontally across the chest. This is going to help create a darker shadow of a stitch before we move on to the highlight stitch. So for this, you're going to be taking your Madalyn Paradise paint in white. Instead of moving horizontally, you're still going to be having that dash stitch, but you're going to be moving vertically. So this is really going to help add a lot of detail to the sweater and actually make it look like a sweater by the texture. I'm also going to be using that white to create highlights on the collar as well before moving into my black eyeshadow, and we're going to be adding shadows to the collar. So I'm going to be applying more black at the very back of the collar and starting to lighten it up as we get closer towards the center. Now, a very important part of this body paint is to actually add a shadow on your skin. So I'm just taking this light brown and also moving on to this darker brown to kind of add more definition and dimension so it looks like the sweater is actually sitting on your skin as opposed to being part of your skin. Moving back to our face makeup, I'm going to be taking my NYX lip liner in Brick House and outlining my lips before moving on to my Milani liquid lipstick in Fabulous and just filling in those lips. And that is the completed look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see next. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel so you can see more of my 12 Days of SFX-mas. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!
Yeah, Cline. Queenie, good